We're getting ready to head into the last match of the day. It is going to be Surrender versus Tom. The loser goes home, or at least stays home, I guess, since they're playing from home. But figure of speech. The winner moves on to tomorrow, which is the semi-finals/finals of the playoffs here for the Asia Pacific Grandmasters. So it's a big deal for these players. tom60229, a previous world champion, and Surrender, a previous world champion competitor, means that both these players would love to be at that global finals. Surrender already is.
Yeah.
So I bet Tom's just thinking, come on, man, don't be greedy. So he's really looking to win to give him his a chance at the final chance of going to the global finals. Whereas Surrender, I think, is just looking for that full just glory mode of saying, I aced playoffs twice in a row. Oh, be insane.
Yeah, it really would be the story of Hearthstone Grandmasters for the first year. And I know that a lot of the other players, the other players who have gone through to the top in Chonsu, Tyler, and now Dawn as well, I think will also be hoping for Surrender to win, because if they end up in the finals versus Surrender, well, they don't even have to win. They can just come second, and they'll still be going through to the global finals at BlizzCon. But for the same time, it is really just about Surrender and Tom right now. And they're going with the somewhat expected double Shaman, Shield, double Priest ban. We've seen from most players some form of shielding Priest or Shaman and then banning the whichever one was not shielded from your opponent. And to me, it makes a good amount of sense here. Surrender with his Quest Shaman, I think it's got himself a few good matchups here. When you ban away the Priest, it really has lost the only bad matchup. Zoo, I think it's perfectly fine. The Paladin is reasonable, not especially fantastic. And then even against the Token Shaman, I'm wondering if my original analysis was just incorrect, that the Token Shaman is favored there. You've got to be careful about going off your own ladder experiences, because I feel like I've played a lot of this kind of Token Shaman. I've got a pretty good idea of how you're playing it in the matchup. A lot of players have not played much against Token Shaman decks, because until the most recent Doom in the Tomb event, not many people were playing it.
Right. And I think it may be down, at least very early on, to how linear the deck is. Like, when you're against Quest Shaman, there's a million things they can do because of the nature of how the battle cry at hero power works, and then also Lackey's discovering spells, dealing damage, taunting minions. When you're against Token Shaman, you know exactly what they want to do every turn of the game, right?
Yeah.
They want to hold the board, and then they want to burst you down or make a lot of, really good trades with, say, the tokens going into high health minions with Bloodlust. But the problem is when you go against the Shaman, it's harder to play against in terms of just a theory perspective, because they could have an ethereal lackey, which then gets them this, and they do that way more consistently because of the hero power. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying one's favored or not, but the fact that the Quest Shaman is playing the Hair and Evolve means, like, well, whatever you can do, I can kind of do the same, and sometimes stronger in the late game because of the refill they have with Hero Power Hair Evolve or Hero Power whatever Evolve to make more minions. So I think the Quest Shaman might be a more well-rounded deck, but it does suffer in certain matchups, like Priest, for example.
I think it's definitely more well-rounded, and it's, like I was saying, the Quest Shaman has slightly weaker early game usually, but it doesn't have to have so strong early game usually, because its mid and late game is so absurd. Exactly, and the Token Shaman generally runs out of stuff to do. For Tom's list, I believe he's gone with the totems, the Manatai totem in there as well, as we can see there, and the Thing from Below package, which does give you a little bit of extra oomph in the later stages of the game. But I think one of the other main reasons why I like this matchup for the Token Shaman is because I'm playing the list that Tyler has gone for, which runs, of course, the Sea Giants in there and the Soul of the Murlocs as well, which I just think gives you that little bit of extra stickiness,
and
which allows you to get the Bloodlust.
Tom runs a one-of Soul of the Murlocs, and he runs a one-of Plague of Murlocs, so he just likes Murlocs, which is fine. And I think that again, is going to make him look better in this matchup than some of the other players we've seen, because if there's a board clear, well, there's not, right? Because you have Soul of the Murlocs down. So, and the second your minions stick on the board as this Token Shaman, then you start making the crazy things happen. In the meantime, though, Surrender going Quest into the Lackey Totem, the Evil Totem to be specific, which means that he's getting cooking pretty early. He has the Sludge Slurper, he has the Faceless, and that's just going to be a coin into the Hair with just a Mutate. Honestly, even before the Mutate happened, kind of like this play.
I would not have played it like this, but I think I like it too. When you don't have Mogu in hand, you obviously don't have the liberty to go for something like that with the Mutate. And I think it just starts locking down the board pretty quickly.
And also as well, like, do you just hold hair then? Do you just not play for the board early game?
Yeah, yeah.
That's the problem, right?
Well, the other play was coin Evil Totem, I think, is something else you can consider.
Right, and for me though, like that is actually slower than what your opponent's doing.
Fair enough.
And I think that Tom, based on what we've just been talking about in this matchup, has to do something a little bit quicker.
It's not working out great though. The power of lackeys coming in strong here for Surrender. And while Tom can draw a couple of cards here, which is fantastic, of course, he's going to need a little bit of help from cards like that before he really gets cooking.
So is he going to like trade a Murloc now as well?
I think he's going to do that instead.
Never mind. What do I know? A mere Hearthstone caster. What do I know?
Disgusting.
Against the
so now you save the hair, I think,
tom60229.
pretty much 100%, because you'd rather have a 4-drop than kill off a 1/1.
Yep.
So then you value trade the
2/3 and the 0/2?
Yeah, and yeah, I'm on board with that. Hero power first. I think you take the risk of a
what about playing Totem after? I think I prefer that. Get Evil Totem down, get some stuff.
I don't mind that. Yeah, I don't mind that.
Because like random 2-drop or an Evil Totem, like Evil Totem's a good 2-drop. Derek is physically blown away right now.
What? You'd rather kill a 1/1 than have a 4-drop? Am I crazy here? I feel like that wasn't even a choice. Plays around MCT?
Yeah,
Plays around
yeah,
MCT.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Then just don't
Play
totem
the additional,
after, right? I don't know.
I think I would have evolved the hair. And I think if I was... I think Tom did my like third option.
Yeah, are you really going to play around MCT for the whole game?
If you don't want to evolve the hair, fine. But I think I would have followed it with the Evil Totem. Because random 2-drop versus good 2-drop. Yes, it's not a card. It's like a card in hand versus not a card. But then you get a lackey for next turn.
You want tempo, not value. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Well, let's see how it works out.
I am hesitant to call this play correct for tom60229, even if it does play around the MCT. I just think that's something you have to play into at some point, and this was as good a time as any, really. Oh, okay.
Sick.
After the buff to Flame Tongue Totem, making it 3 mana, comes in huge here for Surrender.
That's a good one. Doesn't need it right now, but the fact that it's there is pretty important. Tom now is just after any Overload card, and he has insta-refill of Thunderhead Overload card number X. And the Soul of the Murloc. And then that's just an instant board refill, which is so important, especially when he draws a Faceless Lackey, or summons a Faceless Lackey, should I say.
But he's going to have to get doing it pretty quick, because even though he's undeniably very far ahead on board and can keep taking value trades, he has no damage here. 4 damage is laughable to Surrender, and he can really start pulling this back nice and quick.
Hero power with Sandstorm or just playing Piper this turn is decent. I think he definitely saves the Wasp for a little bit later when you want the deal 6.
I'm looking at Wasp the 0/2. And I think I don't like it. I think I like saving it too.
He just gets farmed, right?
It's just such a clean value trade, yeah.
I honestly think like just, anything else basically I like. And it's going to be someone in the Slurper. Which will get him lackeys, which will continue to activate the Wasp on demand.
And that's why I think it was perfectly, that is definitely a part of it as to why you save the Wasp. And also, you don't need to go hero power into Witchwood Piper. 1 Slurper is more than enough to be working with for the moment.
I wonder.
Now though, just the slow parts, and that's where the deck gets pretty tricky to play, is when there's nothing that obvious you want to do. I mean, that's a good one. And it just means that Tom has to be very careful not to leave a board in which if he gets mind control teched with hero power, he can just lose the game. And I feel like he has that board now, or close to it. Yeah. If he didn't have Soul the Murloc and a second Thunderhead, he could just lose the game to a mind control tech
very easily.
Double evolve, jeez.
It's not terrible. But it's not what he was looking for. I think the rush lackeys, damage lackeys, spell lackeys, pretty much everything
He
actually.
wanted to just kill a
was
minion
pretty
this
bad.
turn.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah, I think it's literally the worst.
Yeah.
He wanted to kill a minion this turn.
Yeah.
So now does he just evolve the 1-drop here? And then just play Evil Totem maybe? Is he worried about dying to Bloodlust?
I don't see how else he can affect that though, unless he goes for Sandstorm Elemental, which seems horrible.
Bloodlust is not lethal. It'll be Bloodlust Lightning Bolt. I think it's lethal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Evolve again.
I think I prefer the Evil Totem. I want to start moving ahead with them next turn. And also you want to have a lackey in hand for Weaponized Wasp. I appreciate that this is a bad 3-drop, but yeah, it's more important to have the lackey in hand.
Yes, it's got health. Might stick on the board to evolve next turn.
It's not the worst, yeah.
It's actually not that good.
Mm.
What about like just...
Does he ever start going for Plague in the next few turns?
I was thinking Mana Tide, evolve something after an attack, whatever. Evolve like the Frame Bot into a 3-drop.
Or I think I like the 9-drop off the Tomb Warden. But yes.
Okay, sure.
Same thing.
Yeah, I was thinking that for some reason I think I was valuing the taunt way too highly there. I was like,
3/2 taunt?
Why would you evolve a taunt minion? But then just follow up with the Soul of the Murloc and be like, yeah, this is my board.
I'm happy with that too. I think there's... Tom would struggle to make a bad play on this turn. Oh, hey. Yeah, like you said, nice and easy.
There are cards that deal with this, though.
There are.
An Earthquake is very good versus this board.
Another Sandstorm Elemental is very good.
4 Sandstorm Elementals would be pretty good. If we're just naming things.
Well, mine's in his deck! If you can get facetious, then just won't bother. Blimey mitigating all the damage he can, but like you said, with the Plague of Murlocs, it's just not going to be enough. Bloodlust off the top would just end the game on the spot.
He could also, like, heavily trade and then Plague. Wouldn't be the worst thing I've ever seen.
I don't think there's a need to.
I wonder.
It's just... does he ever think the thing he is weak to is Elemental?
Yeah.
Well, even after
make him better?
look at these trades, right? Like if these trades happen, he's got a load of 1 or 2 health minions, which means 1 Sandstorm Elemental is actually insane.
I guess so.
Whereas you could have Murlocs, which if I play a Murloc a full board, most of them have more than 2 health.
But
or at least you get a good chunk.
Sandstorm doesn't go through the Death Rattle, right? So
No, I was just mean depending on where trades landed.
Right.
That enough of it might be traded off that if you're left with like 3-4 Murlocs, then that's bad.
He's managed to get himself in a situation where
Yeah, this has actually looked okay.
Yeah, full board pretty much of Murlocs, so I'm happy with this line of play completely. And then if he's left with a bunch of 1/1s, then you rip the Plague of Murlocs for sure.
I think that was my thought as well, like depending on how he went about the trades, he could have actually traded, like, used more death rattles, so to speak. Not that he has a particular need to.
Kind of starting to come together now for Surrender. He's making strong plays, but the damage is ramping up a bit too quickly on the other side, I think.
Come back, Senjin!
I take it back.
Didn't go for Sandstorm either that turn.
9, 10, 13, 16 damage I count at the moment. So, in that case, you take the Trader Race. It's a bit annoying for Tom because he would really like to just rip the Voltaic Burst and take the rushing value trades. But given that's not available, this is obviously more...
Just can't hold all those Murlocs. And it looks really weird just trading so much of this board away, but Surrender can't win if there's no cards on the board to actually do anything, and there it is. Suddenly. I mean, 2 of those minions don't have Death Rattle. Sorry, 3 of them don't have Death Rattle. So Hero Power, MC Tech, Elemental, depending.
What about Hero Power Sandstorm first? And then
that goes boop boop, and it
that only leaves 4 minions in play.
One,
yeah, you
two,
don't want to do
three.
that.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that.
You've got 3 good ones, right? Arguably 4 with the totem. But even the taunt isn't that bad. That's a bad one. That's a surrender. Come on.
Someone has to have made a video called just "Surrender Reacts to Things," because I would watch that video.
So now it's gonna go for heal instead.
Yeah, he's clearly saving up for a more impressive Sandstorm Elemental in the coming turns, which is fair enough, I think. That feels like his real win condition at the moment.
Huh. I'm really surprised there's no Ethereal Lackey here.
I think he wants to rush away the minions first, then go for the Ethereal Lackey so he doesn't run out of board space. Yeah, I like this.
A rock biter, right?
Ancestral Spirit?
I just take extra damage.
Just
He's getting
a
close.
stickiest board? I guess so.
Getting close to just killing him.
Yeah.
And you've got a pretty sticky board still, and
I
you've
think
just seen
either
MCT.
Are fine. Either are fine. Or Forked
Yes,
Lightning.
Tom. Yes. As is the case. This allows him to push a bit more damage, I suppose.
I guess so, yeah. Fair enough.
I guess this allows him to push extra damage that he would have gained pushed from Rockbiter anyway, so fine.
I mean, it's really just the race to Bloodlust anyway. Like, pushing this damage makes limited difference, to be perfectly honest. Was that the
See
card?
what it was.
The card that Surrender's been waiting for, and it's not even good enough?
No, it's 1 health too much.
Yeah.
I mean, he still has to do it, right? It's no choice.
He does. He could play one of
and
them and then hope to hit Shudderwalk.
It doesn't change anything, does it?
Yeah. It's a shame if he'd played it on the previous turn. Like,
you could have played
that
one
was the play
this turn
to go
and
like
then just-
Sandstorm into Sandstorm into Shudderwalk. Obviously, that's like ridiculously
I
unlikely.
mean, maybe
to
he does
happen.
it anyway because maybe he needs like evolves to happen from Shudderwalk, MC Tech to go off. Maybe he just needs to draw Shudderwalk next turn.
I think that's a
which
reasonable
means-
out. It's really just Shudderwalk or Lackey into Earthquake.
yeah.
That's his only shot. And Earthquake would be absolutely mental on this board.
So I think he just plays one, right? Just hero power, play one, chuck it in the pool.
There is little time.
What's he waiting for? What if he gets Bog Slosher? Could he go hero power, double elemental, Bog Slosher elemental? No, that's 1 too much mana. He doesn't have Panda in the deck, I don't think.
So what he is doing here is reducing Tom's ability to play other stuff on the board, and knows that outside of exactly Bloodlust, or it would have to be like kill your own minion Vecina, you know, to have any other level of impact, but that's not going to be it.
Yeah.
You win this.
So Surrender is going to take a loss in game 1 against Tom in the Shaman Mirror, and it just didn't quite come together. It was close many, many times, but Tom just took hold of that board and did not let go. And honestly, it's easy to say because of the results we've had over the past 2 days.
Yep.
Soul of the Murloc versus not Soul of the Murloc, a world of difference in that massive game sample size.
Yeah, I mean, I think
But
that's
I think that's
indicative
representative,
of the way
right?
it goes.
Yeah, exactly. That it's just the fact that there was no good clear. Whereas without Plague of the Murloc, without Soul of Murlocs, the elementals do more damage and get more work done. So it was a good play from Tom, but I also think deck building kicked in a lot better than it had done for the other Shamans of a similar archetype.
I agree, and I think it was pretty weird play from Tom at the start as well. I don't think I would have played it the way he did, but I think I liked it actually. The way he went for the, what was it, Coin Hair into Mutate on turn 2, that shows, I think, a bit of good understanding as to how you approach the matchup, which is get on board right at the start. Be the first player to develop. Start taking those value trades. Evolve back up afterwards. The Cult Master was just kind of a nice bonus that he was able to get to draw a couple of extra cards. But for the most part, I think it was just, like I said, indicative of the understanding of the matchup, which is get ahead, stay ahead.
Well, that's the basics, right? If you're the aggressor and you play slow enough to let your opponent get onto the board first, the deck also doesn't have that many like combat mechanics on the board. There's Thunderhead plus an Overload to get the tokens to rush in, of course, and help.
Yeah.
But by that, you're looking at turn 5, right? Like that, the quest could be active for the quest chairman by then, and then they're doing even more powerful things. But that was game number 1. Let's crack on with game number 2. Tom, honestly, weirdly enough, his signature deck for me.
Big
Tom's
time.
like just played Zoo all season. No one really knows why, but he's here. And he was top seed. So it did something, definitely. And he's playing it again, whereas Surrender is going to be on the hunter.
Yeah, this is Tom's signature build of Zoo as well, which is the 4-egg omelette here, with double Scarab Egg, double Serpent Egg, and of course the single Plague of Flames. He's had a little bit of a up and down relationship with this card. I think in the first iteration of this deck we saw from him, it had 2 Plague of Flames, and then he pulled it back a little bit and said, okay, it's all right in some matchups, but for the most part, you want to be tempoing out these cards a little bit earlier. The only card he's got that was added in the tomb is Imp Gangboss, which I think is probably just correct. It's just a strong card.
It is. If you're playing Zoo and you're not playing Imp Gangboss, then you're doing something wrong. And if you're playing Renounced Darkness, you're definitely doing something wrong. That card sucks.
How dare you? How dare you?
But looking at this is such a weird and difficult matchup. I feel like, honestly, whoever gets ahead on board first generally wins. Because Surrender on Hunter has generally beefier, consistent minions, and the secrets mess with Zoo a lot. But Tom has life tap, which means he can just go and go and go until the game ends. There's the age-old, you know, struggle between these two classes where Surrender's hero power makes Tom's hero power worse because of the double damage that it effectively takes. But this is a huge showing onto the board for Tom.
It really is. I have to be honest. I was expecting the tap there, man. I thought that was a pretty easy one-drop tap there because he does have plays for the next couple of turns, but this hand really wants something a bit extra. It wants Evil Genius to both destroy the egg and start giving lackeys for the Evil Recruiter. But at the same time, Tom might just be saying, you know what, I'm smelling weakness, so let's develop these one-attack minions.
Look how slow this is, right?
Start chipping away.
Surrender.
Yeah. But he's starting to build up. He's cooking up the perfect Zephyrus here,
So
one ingredient at a time.
Can he coin Zephyrus MCT? Would they even offer MCT? Probably, right?
Is that good enough? Is that the best thing he can do with Zephyrus? What is he looking at in the next few turns if he doesn't do that?
Dying?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Zephyrus Shadow and Pain is pretty strong here, actually, just to kill off the Vulture.
True. There is only 3 power on board.
And then he takes a huge value trade.
He kills
as well.
off the Void Walker.
Yeah.
You know what? Save the coin if you really want. It means next turn you can coin into Unleash the Beast, which is generally very powerful versus Zoo, because Zoo doesn't have the trade-up potential it used to. It's not, you know, power overwhelming a 1/1 to kill your 5 health minion, right? It doesn't do that anymore, which means that the 5/5 with Rush normally just sticks around for at least a decent amount of time.
I don't know if Shadow of Pain would be offered here because Zephyrus can't read the text and it would just see a 3/5, which isn't particularly threatening.
Oh, gonna just get rid of a Mecharoo.
Fair enough. I mean, it's the common thinking with Zephyrus is if you can save it and do something else that's strong enough, you usually do that and just save Zephyrus for the dream scenario.
And it's honestly, outside of a couple of decks where Zephyrus is part of a combo, it's honestly the fun and hard bit, about talking about this card, because we don't know what Surrender's planned for Zephyrus. It's
Follow the rules.
wow. Well,
pretty disgusting.
Vulture, man. It's the sickest card.
Vulture Man, also the best superhero. Oh no, wait, he's actually a villain,
He's
isn't
a
he?
villain.
Yeah,
The Vulture,
The
yeah.
Vulture, yeah.
Steals people's youth. Stay looking young.
Does he? Not in the movie. He looks old.
Yeah, well, you're talking about this newfangled stuff.
Yeah, I'm a fake fan. I've only seen the films. But even after all of that, the disaster that Surrender went through, he's not in the worst position I've ever seen.
He isn't. He managed to take down the Vulture, which is now I'm just thinking of 9/9 every time. He just takes down the Vulture, and look at this, like, one Unleash the Beast killed the Vulture and a Flame Imp. That is just a good card.
Yeah. This does mean it's Ratto time, though. My favorite unannounced Marvel villain, Ratto.
Do you know Ronald Rat? Is that too old for you as well?
I think so, yeah. I know Rizzo the rat from the Muppets.
Oh, I thought it was from Greece.
Oh. Oh yeah, there is a guy called Rizzo as well.
in
Yeah,
Greece. This is just setting up for the new universe, the new MCU. It's Greece X Muppets.
Yeah, that's phase 4.
Yeah. After Thanos snapped everything away, there was only the Muppets and the Grease cast left.
It was a real freak of statistics. It was a 50% chance, but everyone else on Earth disappeared.
And it's just the guys from Greece and the Muppets. Who would have thought? What are the odds? 50% of the time, it happens all the time.
Yeah, I looked through 4 million different alternate universes, and only one of them, the Muppets and Grease, survive, and we all die.
Okay, well, let's go.
Let's do it.
You can beat back Thanos.
Your wish is
Finally, Zephyrus time, though, here for Surrender. On 1 mana, what is he looking for here?
Sacrificial
Sack
Pact.
Pact? Yeah,
Oh.
okay.
There you go.
I guess that's what you're always moving towards against it.
It's less you plan for it, and more you always know it's an option, right? Whenever there's a threatening demon, I think Gang Boss kind of helps out with that as well as an extra demon in the pool.
And it is pretty filthy.
Yeah, and it's fair. 0 mana, go away. Like, it's a great card.
Props
So
to
it's-
Surrender as well. He had multiple opportunities where we were considering Zephyrus, always held it back, always found something better.
And now, Sea Giants available, Eggs available, Grim Rally's available.
Serpent Egg, Giant, Grim Rally. We could even fit in a Serpent Egg first.
Yep.
Oh.
So it's like, okay, yeah, keep doing busted stuff, keep doing busted stuff.
Sheesh. It's not what he wanted to see at all.
And he always Grim Rallies one of the eggs, right? One of the Serpent Eggs.
Pretty sure. Yes.
Because
It's just the best.
Yeah,
It's just
he
the
has
best.
enough protection in terms of death rattle. Have a 3/4.
It's strictly better.
Kill off Zephyrus as well.
Oh man, this game is powerful. Both of these decks are doing like the best thing they can do.
Yeah, because on the other side as well, of course, Tom's just had an insane turn.
Yeah.
But Tom's also on 19 health with 1 card in hand. If he keeps tapping, he might die.
That's true.
As long as Surrendered can fight back.
Yeah.
And Surrender, because of that buff, he could have unleashed the beast and trade the Zephyrus into the Giant.
Yeah.
But now he's 1 off.
You can't even go the Zephyrus into 3/4 to go with that and the Unleash the Beast to clear off. So therefore, what are the options? Subject 9 obviously draws him the rest of his secrets, so we're looking at...
I think he has to
Freezing
unleash
Trap?
I think he has to unleash the beast trade.
Okay, fair enough.
The egg's just going to soak a freeze in, so it's pointless.
Yeah.
I think he has to just have a 5/2 on the board. And just be like, well,
Snake
okay.
Trap doesn't do enough, Pressure Plate. Yeah, they're just... None of them are very
Right.
good, to be honest.
I think he's just going to buy the bullet here and just say that I kill a 3/4, I end the turn with a 5/2 and a 3/2 on the board. Fingers crossed.
But
right?
the pressure would be so high. If he makes the wrong decision here, he's out. He is out of playoffs.
He has got the backup plan of already being in the global finals, though.
That's true.
So even if Surrender loses, we will be seeing him in the global finals. He's going to go bow. Oh, he's just going to play aggro? Oh, okay. 16 damage coming the other way. Warlock does not do 10 damage from hand, right? Like, it just...
Yeah,
Surrender
it just doesn't.
never dies this turn, not in a million years.
I'm sorry to interrupt your usual spam chat, but this is some SM Org time, if ever I've seen it.
Honestly, I'm impressed.
Yes.
Because now he has to trade. Because there's what, 5, 6, 7, 8? Minimum 8 damage next turn.
Yep.
It's very easy for Surrender to draw lethal.
I wonder.
Okay.
I like this play a lot.
I'm telling you how this game's going to end. Hold
Give me
on,
the gossip.
Hold on to your socks. I'm just going to double check something. I'm pretty sure I am right.
All right.
Where's he on? There. So Surrender is going to be able to swing face with the weapon.
Right.
He top decks Ragnaros.
Oh.
And you know where Rag's going, Darren. You know where Rag's going.
Not Bran, because that would be boring.
Yeah, Rag.
Rag. Because he's just like that.
That's just the way he rolls. Surrender's like, how many things
It's going
are
to
you allowed
happen.
to do in this turn?
It's just going to happen.
He knows, he's just set up the Rag lethal.
Yeah.
Ryan does it as well, remember.
All right, no
All
taunts,
Surrender
no
wants
healing.
is no Titanic Lackey. That's all he was
Yeah.
after. Because he planned for this. He can do 8 damage in 2 ways. close. And that, my friends,
That's just it.
is the game of Hearthstone. Oh, Siegebreaker, cool card. Not good in this instance in any way, but it's
Just
a
a
cool
cool
card.
card, yeah. And to be fair to Surrender, he gave himself a very strong out. And I think the 1 in 18 for Bran, with also the possibility of Ragnaros thrown in there as well,
I like it.
is the highest chance I think he has. Even Unleash the Hounds, I think, could have won him the game there. There were multiple outs there. He gave it his best shot. But it does mean that Tom's going through to the semis.
Yeah, tough turn there for Surrender, but the recognition was on point, at least in my opinion, and Derek's, of course. But congratulations to Tom. He is going to be going through to the playoffs. He did come through his first seed. He did lose versus Dawn a little bit earlier on today.
That's right.
But it doesn't mean he's going to be going through to tomorrow. And, you know, unfortunate for Surrender to lose, but just a reminder, Surrender is going to be in the global finals because he won the first season of Grandmasters and won the playoffs. So he will be there regardless. We will see Surrender at the global finals. But yeah, it's going to be pretty exciting. Dawn and Tom go through. And we had, who did we have yesterday? We had
Chonsu
and Tyler. So it's pretty stacked. Not that I expected anything less. But there is a chance that if Tom wins, then he is going to be going to global finals and he might be able to recover, you know, an end-of-year champion spot.
I just cannot decide who I want to see most at the global finals at BlizzCon now. Out of all 4 of these competitors, Chonsu has just been by far the strongest competitor consistently throughout all of Season 2 of Grandmasters. Tyler, bit of a rocky start, but one of my favourite players of all time, turning things around. Tom, he's the blooming previous Hearthstone World Champion. And Dawn as well, he's hasn't really stood out all too much because of his play. But one of the main things we've been talking about in Asia Pacific Grandmasters has been not messing up, and he hasn't really been doing that much either. He's just been behind the scenes playing some pretty strong Hearthstone.
And I think for Dawn, the fact that, you know, he isn't the most talked about player makes it important because out of, you know, Tyler, Tom, obviously Chonsu, but then Dawn this could be the tournament, you know, and the win he needs to like really just blow up for him. Let's check out the results for today, just to remind you if you tuned in a little bit later. But we did kick it off with Surrender taking a loss to Dawn in effectively the second initial match, as the first one happens automatically because Tom would take a win over Shaxi. But then we had Tom versus Dawn. Dawn beating Surrender and then straight up just beating Tom straight after. Got to be feeling fantastic. And then Surrender taking a win over Shaxi, knocking him out. Shaxi 4th seed means he had one, you know, shot at it basically. If he took one loss, he was going to be out.
It was a long shot.
And then Surrender, as we just saw, losing to Tom means that Tom and Dawn go through out of the second group of playoffs. So as we mentioned, we have our 4 players for the final day tomorrow.
We do. And if I had to choose a way for the group to shake out, honestly, I think I might have ended up, if I could just choose the winners here, because Shaxi in 4th seed, he was super unlikely to make it no matter what. And Surrender, like we keep saying, we're going to be seeing him anyway. It would have been nice for him to get through to the finals, at least, not only for him, but for the other competitors, so that they could maybe get through on 2nd place, just for the storyline's sake. But still going to be seeing him. And Tom going through instead. Cannot wait to see him again, potentially, on the global stage.
Yeah, we'll have to find out. But let's take a look at that schedule for tomorrow, what we've got coming up. It is going to be 3 matches. It is very simple. It's going to be Tyler versus Tom in match 1. The winner goes through to the finals. Dawn versus Chonsu in match 2, which means there is a guaranteed Korean representative going through to the finals.
That's a good point.
Tomorrow, which means there's a chance that out of all of the Asia Pacific regions, we have 2 Korean players go to the global finals, further reinforcing the dominance that region has had over APAC and over, honestly, a good chunk of Hearthstone throughout many years when you talk about players like Kranich as well. It's going to be huge. We are going to be having best of 5s tomorrow, so it means the format looks a little bit different, so there is no floating deck anymore. The players have to take full responsibility for their lineup.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see how that shapes out. This is, I think, the first time we've seen at all Conquest with a Shield in best of 5. And contrary to Specialist, where it was basically the same strategy, just slightly longer, the strategy is just completely different now with best of 5. These players have to be able to adapt. And I can't wait to see who that favours.
Yeah, and they're using the same decks they submitted for this as well. So they've had to commit not only to this format, but to a slightly extended version as well. But we are done for the day. We have our 2 players that are joining the other 2 into the finals tomorrow and semi-finals, of course. From Derek and myself, we are done, and we will see you tomorrow.